Okay, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Ranker webinar series. I'm Niaja, and I'll be moderating today's webinar, which is using micro loyalty programs to activate sales. I'd like to start off by thanking you all for joining us. We appreciate the time you've taken from your busy schedules to be with us today. Now, this webinar is the second in a series of webinars as part of Ranker's 20th anniversary celebrations. We kicked off the series last month with the webinar Conversational AI for Brands, where we looked at how brands could leverage automated engagement for customer support. The full recording of the webinar is available on the Ranker YouTube channel, just in case you missed out on that incredibly informative discussion. Today's webinar, like I mentioned earlier, will be about how your business can use micro-loyalty programs to activate sales. And we take a look at the restaurants and digital services use case. I'll be joined by two speakers, Georgina and Esther Abarbara. Our speakers will kick things off with a short presentation on micro-loyalty programs, which will be followed by a Q&A session. In the presentation, our speakers will talk about what micro-loyalty programs are and why your business needs one. Also talk about the different types of loyalty programs that we have. Then we will talk about the Ranker campaign platform, what it is, and what Ranker can offer your business aside tech. And finally, we'll look at the restaurant case study. Now, at any point during the presentation, you can type any question Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Rankard webinar series. I'm Niaja, and I'll be moderating today's webinar, using micro-loyalty programs to activate sales. I'd like to start off by thanking all of you for joining us. We appreciate the time you've taken from your busy schedules to be with us today. Now, this webinar is the second in a series of webinars as part of Rankard's 20th anniversary celebrations. We kicked off the series last month with conversational AI for brands, where we looked at how brands could leverage automated engagements for customer support. The full recording of that webinar is available on the Rankard YouTube channel. That's in case you missed out on that incredibly informative discussion. Today's webinar, like I mentioned earlier, will be about how your business can use micro-loyalty programs to activate sales. And we'll take a look at the restaurants and digital rewards use case. I'll be joined by two speakers, John Jima and Esther Abrabra. Now, our speakers will kick things off with a short presentation on micro-loyalty programs, which will be followed by a Q&A session. In the presentation, our speakers will talk about what micro-loyalty programs are and why your business needs one. They'll go on to talk about the different types of micro-loyalty programs that we have. And then we'll speak on the Rankard campaign platform, what it is, and what Rankard can offer your business aside tech. And then we'll end things off in the presentation by looking at a case study. At any point during the presentation, you can type in any questions that you have into the chat, and the speakers will address it during the Q&A session. Now to our speakers. I'm joined today by Esther Abrabra and John Jima. Esther is a product manager here at Rankard, and she's a product manager for products like Rankard Commerce. Rankard Commerce is a product that serves thousands of customers of brands like Papa's Pizza, Pizza Inn, Chicken Inn, amongst others. Esther describes herself as someone who is passionate about product design, specification, and conversational engagement. Welcome, Esther. We are joined also by John Jima. John Jima is a software analyst with a passion for products. He has a demonstrated history of solving complex problems in systems optimization and availability. He has managed engineering product delivery across multiple sectors, including telecoms, financial services, FMCG, and e-commerce. As you can see, John Jima is a very experienced guy. So we start with the presentation. I'll hand over to John Jima to start the presentation for us. John, over to you.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Niaja. It's a pleasure to be one of the facilitators of this particular session. So we talk about micro-loyalty programs. It's interesting, but usually what you hear in the industry is loyalty programs or loyalty rewards. And you see the big brands or the Fortune 500 companies usually embarking on this. I think recently I've been hearing that of StanChart and also that of GCB, where StanChart, stand a chance of winning a trip, to Anfield, and GCB too. I think they reward something in the form of airtime and the likes. But we believe that every business deserves the ability to reward their customers for brand-specific activities, whether it's a sales, whether it's a particular transaction, whether maybe it's an activity that the customer is performing on social media on behalf of the brand. We believe that even if you're a Fortune 500 company, whether it's a startup, whether you're an SME, you should be able to reward your consumers with whatever you have for performing those actions. And but thinking about one major hurdle that businesses face, especially the small businesses, which we'll see in other slides, with regards to micro-loyalty program, has to do with cost and feasibility, because they think about cost. I'm not making enough, I'm not breaking even. Why should I invest in rewarding my consumers or my customers? Feasibility in terms of is technically cumbersome. For StanChart, they need to have a direct integration to their mobile app to be able to understand what consumers are doing or what users are doing in the app, to be able to see which customer qualifies for this particular reward. So for a small business, I mean, they think about all the costs and all the technicalities involved, and they want to just go their normal business without thinking about loyalty programs. So with this background, I mean, we'll choose to define a loyalty program as a program that enables any brand to connect and reward its customers at minimal cost per consumer reward. So the emphasis is on minimal cost per consumer reward. So if we can go on to the next one. I think Esther will take us to why brands will need loyalty programs.
Okay, thank you, John. So from research, we realized that most customers, or let's say the loyal customers of like a particular company, like 20% of them are those who contribute about 80% of the revenue like a company gets at the end of like a year. But for a product now, we have like 10 brands offering the same thing. So how then do you get your customer to go for your products, even though your products and your competitors' products may have the same pricing? So first of all, you need a loyalty program to first of all coerce your customers to buy what you are offering, because the other competitor is also offering the same thing. So what makes it different? So for a loyalty program, it guarantees that more consumers will purchase your product as compared to your competitor who is selling exactly the same thing, but without any reward attached. And also we realize that maintaining your usual customers or your existing customers is way more cost effective as compared to trying to get new customers on board. So running a loyalty program will ensure that you are bringing in your existing customers all the time. So you are ensuring that there's a repeat purchase every time. You're ensuring that your customer lifetime value is sustained, and you're ensuring that you are growing your genuine loyal customer. You are growing that base as well. So these are some of the reasons why we need like a loyalty program for a brand. And running a loyalty program doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to spend so much. But at the end of the day, you end up getting like a considerable value added to your sales or your customer base or your market base as well. Yeah, thank you, John. So you can run us through
Okay.
the types of loyalty programs we have. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Esther. So and I think Esther rightly put it. I mean, a business would need a loyalty program because I mean it costs more getting new customers than actually maintaining the ones that you have. And depending on how effective your loyalty program is, your current customers can even bring you new customers. And I mean, for me, for instance, I mean, if I want to purchase a product, I mean, a lot of things that I take into consideration. I mean, if I have a brand offering the same product at the same price, then I'll probably go in for the one who will give me some sort of reward or acknowledge my effort in choosing their brand. So customers are constantly spoiled for choice. And with the loyalty program, it's easier for customers to make a decision which is inclined towards the brand. So thank you very much, Esther. So when we remove the types of programs, so generally speaking, in the industry, most loyalty programs can be categorized as a point-based program. So a point-based program where you have a brand you have a brand awarding specific points to customers for taking particular actions. So I think there's a Shell loyalty program where you have with a Shell card, for every fuel that you buy, you get a particular number of points allocated to your card. And with that particular card, you can later on go and redeem it for maybe something, a gift or something. So we have the point-based system, which is purely based on points. We have the cashback, where a brand will give a customer a discount on their next purchase based on the value of what their current purchase is. And also the referral program. So referral program basically means that this kind of program, consumers are incentivized for referring other customers. So we see this a lot in most of the ride-hailing apps, where for Uber, they have a particular section in their app where they say, share the app or share Uber with your friends and earn about 10% discount on your next trip. I see that for Bolt. I see that for most of the ride-hailing apps in the industry. We also have the discount loyalty card. So an example of that would be that of Melcom. So usually, I think Melcom and most of the brands like it, they have cards where they register or they onboard their customers to. So in any time the customer is making a purchase and they use that card, they get a particular kind of discount. It could be 10%, it could be 5% based on the profile of the customer. And recently, I think what has been in the industry has to do with a value-based program, value in terms of value to the customer and not more of the brand. So you see an example where Special Ice or some of these mineral bottling companies would say, for every mineral water that you buy, let's say 10% of the money that we get goes to children's home or goes to an orphanage somewhere. So you're connecting to the consumer at a value level. So all these are right. I mean, all these are some of the loyalty programs that we have in the industry. But for what we want to focus on today, we want to break it down into three main aspects, especially from the business value point of view. So by that, we can think of a transactional loyalty program. So and most of the ones that I've described, from point-based, cash back, referral, discount, are all transactional. So transactional in the sense that it's connected to sales or anything that has to do with sales. So most of the ones I've mentioned actually is related to this, where a consumer is required to perform a purchase transaction to qualify for the program. And channels for engagement for this type of program or loyalty program is mainly linked to any points of sale activity. So it could be order confirmation. By order confirmation, you purchase a product and there's a confirmation of your purchase, or a payment action. So when you trigger payment for the service that you provided, then a transactional loyalty program is triggered, or evidence of product purchase in the form of receipt. So I don't see a lot of brands actually going for this option a lot in Ghana, but actually one of the areas that BrancCard is heavily innovating in. So basically, where you have the option of consumers just taking a picture of their receipt and sending it to the brand's digital channel. So it could be WhatsApp, it could be Messenger, it could be a web portal, and based on the algorithm, we're able to detect that, okay, yes, the consumer has indeed purchased a product which requires them to be rewarded. So we have also that. We also have product service usage. So by product service usage, we also have a lot of that in the industry, where you see mostly the FMCGs. You think of Coca-Cola, Unilever, you think of AB InBev or Guinness, where for every product that you buy, you probably see a code underneath the product or the crown, and you text the code to a particular channel and stand a chance to reward. And BrancCard has actually done pretty well in facilitating some of these engagement for most of the, if not, I think all the top FMCGs that we have in Ghana. So if we talk about a transactional loyalty program, it's directly related to sale. And for what I've mentioned, you realize that if a consumer doesn't perform an activity or something that is related to sale, they don't stand a chance to partake or even be rewarded in this kind of loyalty program. Then we move on to what we call the behavioral loyalty program. So this is more at a deeper level. So you can liken this to the value-based program, where for every purchase that a consumer makes, a percentage goes to, let's say, saving the trees or probably an orphanage or something. So it connects to the consumer at a more deeper level. So with a behavioral, the brand seeks to have a more personal relationship with their customers outside of the transactional activity. So whether they purchase the product or not. So here is a case where you find brands incentivizing their consumers for taking specific action on social media or taking specific actions with the product. So you can usually see this in reviews. So brands will genuinely want to understand what consumers think about their product or their service. So for a consumer to share their review or their whether for the service that the brand rendered, it was a 5-star, it was a 2-star, giving more details as to why they think it's a 5-star or a 2-star will ultimately help the brand be able to position the product in a way that that it targets or will benefit their consumer. So brands can easily reward consumers for giving them reviews of their products. So the other one could be signing up for product updates. So basically, the brand will want to have extended relationship or engagement with the consumer outside of that transaction. So being able to sign up for newsletters, being able to opt in for future product updates. This is the brand connecting to the consumer at a very deep and intimate level. We also can talk about brands rewarding consumers for attending specific events. So we talk about all these and realize that none of these is actually tied to a purchase or a transaction. And this kind of loyalty reward increases customer engagement and builds more genuine relationships in rewards that are offered. So the last but not the least has to do with social. I mean, I think 5 years ago, when we are talking about loyalty program, we would not have hardly considered social, but now we see ourselves being social beings. So everything that we have has a social effect, where we've seen the likes of Facebook and most of the social media platforms heavily enabling brands to reach out to their consumers and getting the benefit thereof. So when we talk about social loyalty programs, so this is the kind of loyalty programs where a brand will reward a consumer for taking specific social actions, be it liking their content on social media, be it sharing their content on social media, be it tagging their brand in something that they deem relevant. So all these things helps accumulate some social influence for the brand. And one of the interesting things that BrancCard is coming up with, also with regards to the social space, has to do with what we call the influencer marketing. So we see nowadays where maybe a Sarko there or a Stonebwoy will be a brand ambassador for a particular brand. And maybe the consumers will need to perform specific actions to be able to redeem some points or redeem some rewards. So what we want to make this decentralized, where the brands can go directly to the consumer. So you think of a situation where a brand, let's say, wants to create some brand awareness of a product. So all they need to do is to just see the product. And for any consumer that performs an action, be it the consumer tagging a friend, the consumer sharing the post, the consumer even sharing an experience of their use of the product on social media, the brand instantly reward the consumer. And see, the key word for all these things in terms of reward, when we talk about loyalty programs, has to do with instant, because with instant comes some level of gratification. Where a reward or the reward that the consumer has to receive will have to delay by a day, or they need to go like a week or so to be able to get a reward, then it reduces the engagement rate. But as soon as the consumer performs the action and they are rewarded, that increases the rewards rate. So I think in subsequent slides, we'll talk about how we achieve that instantaneous reward mechanism. If we can move on to the next one, please. So outside of the types, then we generally, what we've been talking about has to do with the industry and what we see micro loyalty programs to be. But we want to come home to BrancCard. We talk about the BrancCard campaign platform. I think about 2 slides ago, when I was talking about the transactional micro loyalty program, I indicated that we actually run these campaigns for most of the brands in Ghana, most of the top FMCG brands in Ghana. And these are basically the highlights of the BrancCard campaign platform. And there are more, but obviously can't spend it talking about us. But in running those transactional loyalty programs, one thing that we noticed is the fact that consumers, we have genuine consumers and we have those who are looking out for interesting rewards to redeem. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, mobile phone, when I got my first mobile phone, I didn't have money to buy credit. So I always, when I see that somebody has scratched a card and already reload the card, I just would take it and try to see if I can try some combinations of numbers to see if I get rewarded. I mean, it's the same thing. It's consumer nature or human behavior. So when there's a free thing outside there, we always want to try and see if we can break it. So there's a case, maybe a Guinness, Ghana, or a Coca-Cola will have running a consumer promotion where for every code that the consumer sees under the crown card, they are supposed to text it to a short code. Or you see the likes of PZ running a Camel promotion, where for every code that they see, they need to text it to a particular short code. I mean, once consumers or the general public get to know of this, I mean, obviously people would want to try out and see if they can get or redeem. And we find this very interesting because in certain situations, it prevents the actual consumers who have performed the actions required to redeem not to win the prize because maybe those trying to gain the system would have consumed all the rewards. So for the Rank Card platform, this is something that we take dearly, and for most of the campaigns that we run, there's less than 5% fraud engagement, just because of the features and capabilities that we put in place to mitigate that. Moving on from that, we talk about multi and omni-channel. So multi-channel in the fact that in Rank Card, we believe that for every product that's out there, every service that's out there, every micro loyalty program that we deploy, we need to be able to make it available for where the consumers are comfortable. So if by default, the strategy of the campaign or the program, the loyalty program has to do with using a USSD channel or a web channel or WhatsApp channel, Rank Card has access to deploy your campaign or your loyalty program across multiple channels. So we think of Facebook Messenger, we think of Twitter DMs, we think of WhatsApp, we think of SMS, we think of USSD, we think of web, we think of QR code, every channel that you can think of, because I mean, you want to be able to reach the consumers where they are. You might want them to gravitate towards a particular channel, but we believe that for the campaign to be successful, having it available or accessible on multi-channel makes it quite easy to be accessed. And with the omni-channel capability, because we are deployed across multiple channels, our technology is able to identify a consumer irrespective of the channel that they are engaging. So let's say, for instance, let me give an example. For a typical campaign or loyalty program where a consumer is supposed to enter about 3 valid codes before they when to purchase a product, enter a valid code 3 times before they stand a chance of redeeming their prize. A consumer in the first attempt might decide to do it via, let's say, WhatsApp, or sending the code to the brand via WhatsApp. The second attempt, they want to do it via Twitter DM. On the third attempt, they want to do it via SMS. But what we are saying with our omni-channel capability, irrespective of the channel that the consumer wants to engage on, our platform is able to identify them and process the request accordingly. We talk about dynamic win configuration, and this one really speaks to the heart of the micro loyalty program. So if you remember, the definition of a micro loyalty program is the capability for every brand to be able to connect to their consumers at minimal cost per reward, right? So you don't need a huge budget of a 1 million Ghana cedis or 20,000 Ghana cedis to be able to reward your consumers. As little as a 10,000, 1,000, 2,000, 500, we will be able to run a successful campaign that helps you achieve your objective, just because of the dynamic nature of our win configuration. So by win configuration, we mean that being able to have the capability to determine who wins or who does not win. And we've learned time in and time again that being able to gamify a loyalty program also generates interest. So when our dynamic win configuration is not set in stone, that okay, if based on the rate at which consumers are engaging, you might overrun your budget. But once we notice, okay, this is what the trend is, we can be able to dynamically update the win configuration so that consumers can win as and when, and you also be able to run a loyalty program within your budget. So we talk about conversational automated engagement. So in addressing talking about multi-channel and omni-channel, I made mention of some channels like WhatsApp, Twitter DMs, web, messenger, and the likes. So this, somebody will ask, how do we do that? Because those are not traditional channels that the ordinary Ghanaian is comfortable running this kind of or sending media requests via. So we're able to do that through our conversational AI engine. I think our last webinar, Archie and Esther did justice to that, where they give some insight as to what the whole concept of conversational AI is and how our industry adopted to. And this is one use case where with the deployment of a loyalty program on a chat enabled channel, and the consumers can actually engage them as if they're actually chatting with the brand. And all these are automated, so you don't need to have your social media analyst or your social media team being on standby trying to respond to every code or every request your consumers send in. No. So with our conversational AI engine, we're able to automate most of these engagement for the consumers to be able to transact successfully on the channels that they find themselves. And honestly, these channels are the future. Consumers now would want support on either WhatsApp, support from a brand, or want to engage a brand via WhatsApp, via Messenger, via Twitter DMs, or Twitter in general. So I think it makes sense for brands to also look at how they can be able to adopt these channels to engage their consumers adequately. And the last but not the least, we talk about data. So one interesting thing about running these loyalty programs is, most of the times the brands are more focused on the sales or maybe the intended objective of the loyalty programs, that they forget to look at the other side, or what other value that they can learn from this loyalty program to help them improve their product offering, or to be able to know how to position their product. So, we can't emphasize this enough. That's why you see the data represented 4 times: data, and analytics. So as much as possible, when these micro loyalty programs are deployed on a Rankad platform, we surface critical insights to brands. In fact, let me give an example. So I think in 2018, 2017, one of the consumer promotions that we ran for a brand, out of that, the insights that we're able to harness give the brand some insight as to the fact that they have more of their consumers in the baby boomer section, but in between 18 years and the 24 years, they were a bit short on that. So that gave them the insight to be able to re-strategize and be able to influence their marketing efforts for the coming year. So data we cannot stress enough, and that is one key component of the Rankad paying platform. And in fact, in Rankad generally, the 3 core pillars that we deal with has to do with data, which we use using Graph, conversational AI, and AI and conversational commerce. So all that I've spoken about has to do with the features, the features of the Rankad campaign platform. So, but I want us to look at what else Rankad provides outside of the tech, because for tech we believe that anybody can actually build it. But we still hold the view that no platform is like ours in the industry that we find ourselves in. So what Rankad offers outside the tech to make your program a success? So if we can move on to the next slide. So for us, it's not just about the tech or the solution that we provide. It goes far beyond that. Most of the platform that we see, or the loyalty program platform that we see out there, will just give you the features and capability for you to implement. We are saying no, because we understand that the underlying objective for each business for running a micro loyalty campaign, it's very different. Some brand might be running a loyalty campaign to be able to create brand awareness, to get some understanding, or to get consumers to understand or know what their brand stands for, or what that particular company stands for. Some people would want, or some brands would want to run a loyalty campaign or consumer promotion to be able to understand their consumer sentiment about their product. Others will also just want to run it to increase sales, which is usually the norm, to be able to get to drive sales or get people to use more of their products. And what we are saying is, for Rankad, we have the technology, but just deploying the technology without understanding the strategy or the ultimate objective, it's fruitless. So we work with you based on the strategy or the objective that you want to achieve. We work with you to be able to devise a strategy, implement that strategy, execute it, and manage it. In fact, for last 2 years, one of the campaigns that we ran for an FMCG, when they were coming on board, they were a bit hesitant because they did not use a Ranker platform before. So they were a bit hesitant in going through the emotions. But I think after during the campaign, they quite became comfortable. And when we're doing the review, after the campaign, and we're doing the review, the marketing manager asked me a very interesting question that he asked me, why are all companies not like Rankcard? I mean, and I believe for us, I mean, it says a lot because we don't just look at the tech, but we look at the objective of the business and be able to work with the business to be able to achieve that particular objective. The platform in general provides 99.97 uptime. So that means that for every transaction that the Rankcard campaign platform will process, we strive to a 99.97 uptime, that there will be less failure, less than 1% failure. But for a campaign or for a micro loyalty program to be successful, that is not the only thing that we are looking at. We are also looking at whether the business was able to meet their objective. Can we move on? So I think at this point, I'll hand over to Esther to take us to some use cases or case studies.
All right, thank you, John, for the detailed walkthrough you gave us. So as you said earlier, every brand has an objective they want to meet concerning like a particular campaign. And for the two case studies we are going to look at, the brand was new on Rankcard Commerce. They wanted to drive more traffic on the digital platforms instead of like more walk-ins, so that they can easily manage their orders. So they decided to run campaigns within a certain period, and then these are the results. So let's just run through briefly. So for the first brand, in the initial stages, they were doing about 38 orders per a day, and they were earning about 2.5K Ghana cedis on a daily basis as well. So to drive more traffic to their digital platform, that was USSD, they decided to run a campaign where they reward customers with only 2 Ghana cedi airtime. And looking at that, initially it seemed too small for me, but it made like significant progress for them in terms of their orders and sales. So they jumped from 38 orders to 165 orders daily, and on an average, which is like 76% increase as compared to like what they were doing without any loyalty program. And they were doing 12.5K Ghana cedis on a daily basis as well, which is 79% increase on what they are actually gaining on a daily basis. So at the end of the campaign, they've gained more, cover the cost they spend for the campaign, and also they achieved the aim, that was to drive more traffic to their digital platform. Please, let's move to the next case study. Okay, so for this brand as well, they were doing about 10 orders a day. And so to drive traffic to their digital platforms, they decided to also run a 2 cedi airtime campaign for their customers, which moved them to an average of 34 orders on a daily basis, which is about 70% increase on what they were actually getting. And they were doing around 460 cedis a day. But with running the loyalty campaign, they were doing about 4,000 Ghana cedis on a daily basis, which is like a huge increase for a brand that started small as this one. So the short and long of the loyalty program is that it's evident that no matter how much you are doing now, with the loyalty program, it will significantly boost your sales to about like 70 to 80% increase, which is a huge number of like increase for any kind of brand. And for a campaign as well, as I said earlier, the 2 CD airtime looked too small for me, but it did good to this brand because from 400 CDs to 4,000 Ghana cedis, that's a massive increase for them. And the cost involved in giving out that airtime will be catered for, looking at how much they went up when they were running the loyalty program. So in all, we can say that running a loyalty program can never be underestimated by any brand because it will definitely increase your sales to a considerable value. And then also, they didn't have to reduce the value of their product, as in reduce their product's price, reduce the value, like do anything to their product. They just had to add an incentive attached to what they are already selling. Even though they had competitors, they still got some customers to come in to purchase their product. So in all, loyalty program is very, very essential, and Rankard provides a technology that can best handle from the purchase time up to the rewarding stage. Rankard has a technology to handle that perfectly. And what is intriguing about this is for a customer to be unaware of like probably a reward and finally purchases and gets a reward, like it's so amazing. It will drive them to come back again and again to your store. Even if for that particular day you're not running a loyalty program, the one you ran earlier has kind of given you, has added up to your loyal customers or your customer base. Thank you. Please let's move to the next. Okay, so in conclusion, we have some aspects that says, as I said earlier, no matter how small your loyalty program is, it will definitely add like a considerable value to what you are already gaining as a brand. And the worry doesn't have to be the cost involved or how feasible it is and all of that. You just have to know that the essence of the loyalty program is to increase your customer base, like your loyal customer base. And after retaining them, the value will just come on board for your brand. And also, when you constantly run like a loyalty program, you are creating awareness in the minds of your customers. Therefore, when probably you are selling pizza, you are usually running a loyalty program. When it comes to pizza, the first name that will pop up in the minds of customers who want pizza is your brand, because in as much as they can get the same pizza somewhere, when they come to you, it comes with an incentive and a reward, something they will benefit from. So they will definitely choose you over your competitors. Thank you. Okay. John, please, do you have anything to add up before we wrap up?
Okay.
Sorry. So I think what got me is the fact that where consumers are not expecting, but they actually get rewarded. So that brings me to one other capability of the Ranker campaigns platform, which I didn't mention. So we have various reward templates. Okay, so this particular one, we call it a milestone win. So where you have specific activities within your consumer journey. So let's say, for instance, you set a target like for every consumer that buys, let's say, 20 products from me, you are rewarded with this. Every consumer that hits about 200 CDs in purchase within a month, they are rewarded with it. So we have different kind of reward triggers, and at the same time, one doesn't know which one they are likely to activate. And when I think of this, I think of what's it called? It's like eating jollof with the small beef and small meat inside. I mean, you're just eating, and anytime you get to eat the small beef, Charlie, you're happy. You're looking for the next one. So I think it's exciting for the consumers and also gives value to them because they know that, okay, yes, the brand actually understands them and appreciates them, and it also gives value to the brands. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, John and Esther, for this incredibly insightful presentation. So we have a host of questions here. So I would try and go through as many as we can with the speakers before our time is up. Before that, though, I'll be dropping a link in the chat. Now, this link will be for businesses that would like to sign on to be a partner for the Ranker Campaigns platform. So if you sign on to be a partner, we are testing out new and exciting features within the Ranker Campaigns platform. And the first 5 people will actually fill out the form, the first 5 businesses. You can sign on as a beta tester for free. Now to the questions. I think I'll direct this to John. John, a member of our audience wants to know how small a campaign can be. So both in terms of the amount of money that as a brand he or she will disburse and the duration of the campaign. So how small can a campaign be, or a micro loyalty program?
So I would want us to go back to the case study that Esther. I mean, just talk about it briefly. So, I mean, a campaign can be really small. You don't need, I think I gave an expectation of with as much as about 2,900 cities or less than 1,000 cities in terms of reward value. You can actually get a value from a loyalty campaign. So it's based on the objective. And I mean, small is also relative if you are looking at small in itself. But if you compare the small to what you stand to gain, if I know that if I invest, let's say 1,000 cities, I stand a chance of making a profit margin of about 2,000 cities, or even gaining more loyal customers, I will do that. So more or less, I think you don't need much, but it's all based on return on investment, because for what we have done, I mean, for the various industries that we've activated or we've run these loyalty campaigns for, none of them did not get a return on investment. All of them exceeded the expectation. So I think it's so that's why we really want to push this out there, so that the small brand who think that they need a lot to be able to activate this kind of loyalty, or to get brands to even to get consumers to even engage more on their products, we be able to walk them through it. So I believe for those who have cost as a limitation factor, or technical feasibility as a limitation for that factor, it will be good to fill out the form that Aja has posted, so that we can work with you to understand what your objectives are, what your operations are, what budget you are looking at to be able to activate the kind of returns that a loyalty program can bring. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. The next question that I'd like us to address is, what kinds of insights does the Ranker Campaigns platform give? So yes, I'll come on board and I'll reward my customers and all, but is there anything that the Ranker Campaigns platform tells me after or during the campaign? What kind of insights do we get? I think, yeah, that's the question.
Okay, so then again, let me give an example. I think so. For last year and last 2 years, most of the campaigns that we ran, we have something that we call the Consumer Insight Harvester. So when I was talking about the various components or capabilities of the Rankard campaign platform, and there was a part that I emphasized on data analytics. The point that most brands ideally run these loyalty programs without having to think about the wealth of understanding or knowledge that they can get. But with the Rankard Consumer Insight Harvester deployed together with your micro loyalty program, whatever information that you need from your customers or whatever understanding that you need from your customers, you're able to get that. See, I mean, I think it's quite easy, right? So when a consumer understands that the brand actually cares about them, they are willing to be able to give the brand an information or certain things about them to be able to help them consume their products. So that's one at the consumer level. So the consumer will willingly share their details, whether it's their I mean, specific to demographics. I mean, where they are based and all those stuff, to be able to get certain insights, give certain insight to the brand to help them give them a better service. Outside of that, I mean, assuming even the brand, the customers are not giving their data or their information to be able to help better the service. What we've also worked with certain brands on it's able to get some sort of demarcation of their customer segmentation based on regions or based on where they find themselves. So if you understand, for the big FMCGs that have distributors, based on where the request or a consumer is engaging from, you'll be able to know that they have a lot more engagement coming from this sector of this part of the country or that part of the country. So this is mainly for the huge kind of businesses. But outside of that, let's come to the smaller businesses. Let's say a restaurant. I mean, for most of the campaign information that we've deployed or the promos that we've deployed, it has to do with reconnecting to the brand's engagement channel. So maybe if they are encouraging consumers to place an order on their mobile app or via their various channels or their web portal, or even in store, we be able to plug in a micro loyalty program that is connected to that particular source. And based on the engagement, we'll be able to find what consumers are doing, what people are, what they are, what they don't like, and all those. And even within the days, the specific days that you see an increase in orders and the likes. Then, I mean, for what we've come to understand, most of these businesses understand the value of data, but they don't have the expertise and the technology to be able to deploy this throughout the organization to get the understanding. So that's where Rankard, our data focus also comes in. We don't give you just the campaign platform just for the sake of it, but we try to get you to understand how your operations are and the specific places that you can be able to optimize to increase revenue. So when you talk about analytics, I mean, it's not specific. It's based on the business type, and it's based on what the need of the brand is.
Okay, thank you very much for that. The next one here is about the omni-channel option. So you made mention of the omni-channel option earlier. How does the omni-channel option work, and does it come at any extra costs for a brand?
No, it doesn't. So what we are, please, if there are any telco representatives on this webinar, please pardon me. But based on the various campaigns that we've run and the loyalty programs that we've run, one thing that we found out is the fact that running a campaign using the traditional channels. By traditional channels, we mean USSD, we mean SMS, we mean voice. It's quite expensive because outside of the technology itself or the rewards that you get dispersing, the telcos actually charge for these engagement channels, and it makes the cost of running these kind of loyalty programs quite expensive. So that's even what is that's one of the reasons why we are heavily invested in the alternate channels that are less costly. So you think of WhatsApp, you think of a web channel, you think of Messenger, you think of Twitter DM. So in terms of cost, if we are running a loyalty program using the ordinary traditional channels, yes, there's some bit of a cost implication. But even with that, we have different models based on your to be able to with you to find the best option for you, even within the telco space. So but if you don't have the appetite, I mean, there's always the traditional channels that we can work with. And then again, I mean, one thing that I think I mentioned, and I really think that businesses, if you're a business on Discord, you need to sign up for the beta testing program for this particular feature, where it's image recognition. So basically, you don't need any channel. So all you need is probably a WhatsApp number, or you need a web or a QR code. But what basically we are doing is when a consumer buys your product, all they need to do is just scan or take a picture of the receipt and send it to whatever channel that we enable. And based on that, our algorithm is able to pick out to be able to authenticate the transaction and disperse the reward that is needed. So in terms of channel, I mean, I think multi-channel is the way to go, and omni-channel is the value that it brings to both consumers and the brand.
Okay, thank you. So another question we have here from Kweku Tando is, does a brand need to provide its own audience, or does Rankard leverage its own username? If I'm a brand and I'm coming to do a campaign, do I need to provide Rankard with the audience?
Okay, so I think it's user-based. So not really. So what we believe, I mean, if you're a brand and you can actually afford, you can, what we recommend is you run a parallel marketing program. So if you are doing above the line TV ads, or you are doing social media boosting to be able to get consumers to and know that, okay, this is what is going on, I think that is good. But yes, I mean, what we do, or what to address your question is, one other feature of the platform is the share feature. Okay, so for every consumer that actually tastes the goodness of the campaign and likes it, we give them the option to also share with friends, and you can even incentivize them to be able to do that. So you don't need an existing base. You don't need any base from Rankard. With the seed that you have, or the consumers that will engage on that particular campaign, you can use them as advocates to be able to draw more consumers in. So for most of the campaigns, it works both offline and online. So where a consumer can actually send in their friend's number for the platform to notify them about this campaign that is ongoing, to be able to also partake. And based on that activity, the consumer gets rewarded, or a consumer shares the campaign that is ongoing on social media, and based on the activity of his friends, he's constantly being rewarded. So I think it's in both sides. You don't really need a base, but if you have it, then it makes it easier, because you can be able to initially see that base to grow it. But in case you don't, the platform has a feature to be able to get the word out there to your consumers.
Okay, thank you very much, John. Another here is, as a brand, if I want to run a loyalty program, what kind of rewards can I give out? Esther mentioned airtime. What other rewards can we give out?
Okay, so primarily, I mean, what we have come to understand is the fact that a reward needs to be instant. Okay, so for any reward that can be dispersed instantly upon the completed activity, that is what we advise our clients to go for. So if we are looking in that vein, then we are usually in the mix of airtime rewards. We are talking about data rewards. We are talking about cash. By cash, I mean Momo is better, because the point is, I mean, the instant nature of the reward makes it's gratifying. I mean, if I'm a consumer, immediately, I mean, I think I hear something on the radio, say pack something, right? So once I do the transaction, back, and I get rewarded. I mean, that gratification, I mean, that gratification is what makes the promo or the loyalty program a success, because the consumer knows that it works. Right, so when I do this action, I get rewarded this way. So as much as possible, what we usually encourage is to be able to for instant reward. But in situations where there's no even instant reward, it's fine. I mean, I think earlier this year we ran a particular promotion where we're able to combine two brands. So let's a fast food restaurant using a ride-hailing app to be able to disperse. But even with that, the reward was instant. It's not those kind of, we don't encourage those kind of rewards where the consumer performs an action, we need to take a receipt, go and queue in something, or go and present this in somewhere. In this day and age, people want to be in the comfort of their home or where they are, and to be able to transact. So after, once they perform the action, why do they need to do or be able to do another activity to be able to get their reward? We don't really encourage that. So even for the example that I was given, the restaurant partnered with the ride-hailing app, and what we encourage them to do was to use discount codes, because for the ride-hailing app, so they provision a set of discount codes, and we fed it into the campaign system. So for every user of the restaurant who completed the activity or the required action, we immediately disperse the discount code to the consumer. So even with that, it's still instant, right? They have, you can think of Netflix. If it's a Netflix gift card, you push it directly via email. So as much as possible, what we want is a digital reward. And in situations where it's not a digital reward, the means to get the consumer to get the reward, or even get notified about the reward without performing any activity, that is what we strive to achieve. But the rewards are endless, and we try to get towards the side of digital and instantaneous rewards.
Okay. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you too.
I think we can take one more question, then it looks like we are fast track for time. So the next question I'll take is, which one? Because this is the last one. So someone says, most loyalty programs seem like free giveaways, and how do companies actually make money from these things? Am I not just giving money away when I run this?
So for every loyalty program, there's an objective for the company. Yes, it can be free giveaway, but let's say, for instance, I gave the example of a behavioral type of loyalty campaign where the brand will want to connect to the consumer at a different level. So in that case, they incentivize the consumer to be able to share reviews about their product. So it's not free giveaway. They are paying the consumer to understand how they want the brand to position the product. If it's in the long term, it's actually a return on investment, because the customer will come back, because based on the fact that the brand understood what the customer is saying and made update to the product, or maybe a particular kind of food type, or maybe the size of the product, the customer will come back for repeat purchase. Okay. Outside of that, if Esther gave the use case where a brand on the average was doing about 38 in sales, 38 in terms of purchases, the number of purchases that they made, and that translated to, I'm not sure about the figures, but there was an increment in that when they applied just a 2 cedi digital reward, and if you do the math, they earned more, the number of days or hours it would have taken for them to achieve that astronomical 70% increase in profit or sales. It wouldn't have happened without just a 2 cedi in digital rewards. Okay, so it depends on how you want to look at it and the objective of the loyalty campaign. If the loyalty campaign is directly connected to sales, then for all the campaigns that we ran, there was actually return on investment, where the brands were able to exceed their targets. And for those that are related to getting some consumer insight to be able to better their product, yes, that also happened. So there's immense value in deploying digital solutions, and that's what we are trying to say, that we don't want brands to look at the rewards so much, but they need to think about the value that it also brings. And we believe that we should be able to deploy a loyalty program at a minimal cost per consumer reward, which is how we define a loyalty program. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, John and Esther. It looks like we have come to the end of today's webinar. It's been incredibly informative and insightful. And like I mentioned earlier, the recording will be available on Rankar's YouTube channel. So yes, so this is the end of today's webinar. Again, this is part of a series of webinars as part of Rankar's 20th anniversary celebrations. So if you will follow us on social media, on every social media, just search for Rankard, and then you can be updated as to the next webinar when we'll be having it and what it will be on. But for today, we'd like to say thank you to everybody who joined. We hope you got some insights from this presentation and you would reach out to us to run a campaign. Thank you very much. And
thank you.